gonna give you the male version first. I'm calling it Who Saves the Savior. There is a silence men carry that no one ever asks about. A pressure behind the eyes. A scream buried in the chest. Not loud enough to shatter glass, but loud enough to break you, quietly. I know I raised my voice, but no one ever taught me how to whisper my pain. No one handed me the language for sorrow, only instructions on how to endure. Be the rock, the provider, the one who absorbs, never releases. The one who keeps standing, even when every part of him is crumbling on the inside. I show up every single day, running on empty, smiling through exhaustion, giving pieces of myself until I forget what wholeness even felt like. The world moved on two incomes, families thriving with two hearts, two hands, two dreams. And I tried to match it with just one bag, one bank account, one slow bled of identity for 1 decade. And when the storm came, as it always did, they looked to me. No hesitation, no offer of rest, just quiet expectation. Fix it. So I did, again and again. I worked through holidays, Thanksgiving shifts, New Year's Day, Canada Day nights, where the only fireworks were the ones I saw through the lunchroom window. Meanwhile, I'll scroll through my feeds, watching the world laugh and gather. Families at the cottage, friends clinking glasses on patios, kids with faces painted red and white, while I clock hours, so we could breathe a little easier next month. And the cars? I gave up my Mercedes sports coupe when we had our first child, no hesitation, because family always came first. Years later, when things got tight again, I sold the second one, another dream, gone, so we didn't drown. Not for praise, not for credit, but because someone had to sacrifice, and I was always that someone. I didn't flinch, I didn't complain, because that's what men do, right? We don't fall apart. We patch the holes and we pretend we're not drowning. I gave up my body for this family, lifting what was too heavy, working through injuries that never got time to heal. Now I wake up with chronic back pain, nights spent fighting the aches alone. But that's not the pain that breaks me the most. She looks at me now and only sees weakness. A man, bent, worn down, not the one who carried it all. She found someone stronger, shinier, and easier to love. And somehow, that break, that being replaced, hurts worse than the spine that never stops screaming. Even now, as you carve out a life beyond our walls, as another man becomes your soft place to land, I'm still here. Still holding the pieces of a story that broke both of us in different ways. Yes, I yelled. Yes, I broke the silence, but it wasn't anger. It was fear. My anxiety didn't come with calm words and deep breaths. It came with sleepless nights, gritted teeth, a mind always calculating. How much do we need? How much is left? What can I give next? I didn't want everything. I just wanted us to be okay. For you, for them, for the dreams we built. But no one ever poured into me the way I kept pouring into you. I was the savior, but who was there to save me? When I finally broke, when my voice cracked and the weight crushed me, you held me. You told me everything would be okay, like a scene from a movie script. But that's never enough to fix a broken man. We don't heal from words alone. We just keep going, carrying our fractures like armor, pushing beyond our limits, because that's what love looks like to us. Sacrifice, even if it meant our life quietly ends, just to make sure our women and children never feel what we feel. I carried it, the bills, the pressure, the quiet loneliness, and still, I wanted to be seen. Not thanked, just seen. Instead, I became a background character in a story I helped write. The reliable one. The one who kept the lights on while fading in the shadows. You move forward, but I'm still standing in the chapter where I gave you everything and somehow still lost. Now I'm gonna give you her version. And it's called You Can't See Me. I stay home all day with the kids. Not just in the house, but inside a world that spun around their needs. And I never paused for mine. I held it all together with cracked hands and quiet prayers, trying to be the lighthouse when I was drowning too. You come home, shoulders heavy, and I listen. Every story from your day, every burden you carried, I made space for it. I never told you mine, not because they were small, but because I saw the weight you already held, and I didn't want to be one more thing that broke you. So, I broke in silence. Postpartum wasn't just hormones. It was grief for a woman I used to be, trapped in a body I didn't recognize, living a life I didn't feel seen in. Loneliness didn't just whisper, it screamed in the moment no one noticed me, not even you. We started fighting. Words got sharper. Everything felt like blame. Our love didn't feel like a home anymore. And the house? The house became a battleground where peace was a memory and survival was the only goal. I watched you find peace at work, while I felt safest when you left, because the quiet without you hurt less than feeling invisible when you were here. We talked through our problems, but talking isn't healing. You never wiped my tears. You never asked why I cried. We said sorry, like it fixed everything. But the hurt stayed leaking through the cracks, like water under the roof, slowly rotting what we built. I fed the baby at 3 a.m., holding back sobs, because I didn't want to wake you. I knew you had work in the morning. I didn't want to be one more thing on your list, but God, I needed you. When you came home, I didn't ask you to take over. Not because I didn't want help, but because I was too tired to ask. I had 9 things running through my mind, and I hoped you see me drowning and just take 4. You work 8 to 10-hour days. I work 20. There were no time cards for diaper changes, no thank yous for tantrum negotiation, no breaks between meltdowns and midnight feedings. I didn't want flowers or some grand gesture. I just wanted to be seen. Not to feel like loving you meant losing me. Because I didn't stop loving you. I just stopped recognizing myself in the process. So forgive me. It may seem like I'm moving on faster than you can understand. But women, we check out emotionally long before you see it. Long before we walk away, and by the time I did, I had already gone. Long before you notice. I'm finally happy, but it hurts you. And I feel torn. I feel guilty, but the stones are set now. They've been placed in their place, and I can't move them anymore. After everything, I still feel invisible. You still don't see why I left. And I can't carry that for you anymore. I tried. I fought. But this is the only way I can breathe again. Now I'm going to merge both versions together. And I'm calling it 2 versions of the same silence. What you just heard wasn't about blame. It wasn't about who hurt who worse. It was about both of them were hurting at the same time, in the same house, speaking different languages of pain. He carried the weights outside the home, silent, tired, and always returning because duty called. She carried the weight inside, lonely, unseen, emotionally unraveling, but holding it together for everyone else. Both of them missed the signs. Both of them thought love meant enduring in silence. And by the time either of them spoke up, the silence had already won. This is a story we don't tell enough. Not his version, not hers, and especially not both. Because this is what happens when pain isn't spoken, when sacrifice is invisible, and when love forgets how to reach out. So, if you are listening right now, married, divorced, in love, or somewhere in between, let this episode remind you emotional neglect doesn't always come from a lack of love. Sometimes it's just a result of two people drowning quietly next to each other. Here is a poem I wrote, and it's called The Space Between Us. This is what it looks like when love dies quietly. Not with screaming, not with slamming doors, but with silence. With missed moments, the hug that never came, the tear that stayed on her cheek, the apology that never reached the soul. He thought providing was enough. He thought sacrifice meant love. Long days, sleepless nights, pressure like bricks stacked on his chest. He didn't see her fading, not because he didn't care, but because he thought surviving meant that they were okay. She stayed home, built her world around everyone but herself, lonely, invisible, carrying her sadness like a secret, smiling for the kids, breaking when no one looked. And she waited for him to ask, to see her, to save her, but no one came. And so she left, long before she walked away, emotionally gone, while physically present. She was already grieving, while he was still pretending they had time. He screamed, not to hurt her, but because no one taught him how to release the pressure without noise. He yelled because the weight never gave him peace, and she stopped answering, not out of spite, but out of emptiness. They both broke, and neither knew how to fix it. If you are listening right now and you are still together, don't wait. Don't assume they're okay. Ask again. Look harder. Touch softer. And if you are apart, maybe this is your mirror, or maybe this is your healing. Because sometimes love doesn't end in goodbyes. It ends in silence. No one was brave enough to interrupt. So in closing, marriage is a sacrifice. But sacrifice means nothing if it's not seen, if it's not shared. We give, but rarely through the lens of understanding. We stay in our own heads, thinking no one knows what we're going through, so wrapped in our own struggle that we forget that we're both bleeding. We start believing that we are doing more, carrying heavier weight. But that mindset, that is the beginning of invisibility, of neglect, of a slow fade into loneliness, right next to the person you promised forever to. Imagine a life built brick by brick, dreams, memories, holidays, birthdays, anniversary etched into time. But when there is no connection, no understanding, that house becomes a hollow home. 4 walls and no warmth. Before you focus on how you are feeling, think about them. Really think. Watch your words, because a dagger wound can heal, but the tongue, it carves deeper than bone. Coal is worthless, but under pressure, it becomes a diamond. Words are the same. When you compress them, when you let time and silence shape them, they come out rare, precise, and valuable. Silence isn't weakness, but silence left unchecked can erode a person, a love, a marriage. Sometimes, silence gives us space to think. Other times, it becomes the asteroid no one saw coming, quiet, destructive, and oftentimes too late to stop. No one to compress, no one to speak, and when you do, let your words be fewer but heavier. Let them be diamonds. And with that, that wraps today's episode. Stay blessed, go with God, and may you find depth of understanding to finally face the lessons you've been running from. Summer is coming, and winter is slowly thawing. Maybe it's not just the season that's changing. Maybe it's time for us to change too. To soften, to renew, to stop surviving and start seeing each other again. No matter how cold it's been, something beautiful can still bloom. This is the season of becoming, so don't miss it. Until next time, more peace to the world.